Okay, maybe we should start. So first, hi everyone, I'm Steven. I'm from Kaliop. I'm going to present you, so it's a small workshop about a bundle that we created in Kaliop throughout the different projects with EZ5 that we had to do, and so it's a bundle we use on every project, which we find very useful. And I'm just going to show you why we created it and how you can use it. So yeah, first I'll just tell you why we did it, what was what caused the need for this bundle. Then I'm just going to introduce you what's inside and what it would allow you to do with EZ5. And then I've prepared a few exercises so that you can get your hands on it. All right, this is something, I don't know if you were in the CJW workshop or at the performance with EZ5 workshop as well. We had the same problem, so performance issues. When we wanted to display a lot of content on the same page. So at first we all tried to render a controller with easy content view location, using easy content view location controller, and we had performance issues actually because every time you do a render controller, you just reinstantiate the whole Symfony kernel. And it really consumes a lot of performance. So we had this problem first. The other problem we had, so it was really because of our customer project, who already had a lot of content classes from EZ4, actually, because this was a migration. And in basically all their content classes, the title fields, description fields, image fields, all had a different identifier. It was another company who built the website originally. I don't know why they did this, but we just had to migrate the website with these content classes with really different content identifier for every classes. So this was really a pain in the ass to just switch between, you know, a title identifier or a name identifier. So we had to find a solution for this. And so to render the titles, whatever the class attribute identifier was. So we needed something to implement rendering rules in some PHP classes, basically, rather than doing it in repositories or controller or in Twig Templates, as you will see it. And the other thing was we had to list different content types, but with exactly the same HTML code. Okay, we had to render, for example, events or articles, but with the same look and feel, no difference. So, see what I mean? We didn't need a different template for event or article line view. It was exactly the same HTML code. So this bundle was made by one of my colleagues, Antonin Saint-Roy, which is developer at Kaliop. So it provides eZObjectWrapper, which encapsulates content and location with lazy loading. I'll show you how it works afterwards. Each wrapper is bound to a content type, an easy content type. And it provides its own methods, and you can also implement business logic in this wrapper if you want. So to build this eZObjectWrapper, there is a factory inside the bundle, which will build the correct wrapper class, which will return the correct wrapper class depending on your content type. And yeah, little bonus. There is also a render location Twig method that you can use instead of render controller easy view content. So you don't have to reinstantiate the kernel. I'll show you how it works in the exercise. Yeah, this should be at the end, but you can find also the source code of the bundle on GitHub, github/Kaliop, and the code of this workshop as well on GitHub. Sorry. What is this? Yeah, this is basically the construct method of every wrapper. So every wrapper class contains easy content, easy location. I'll show you, it's not really speaking this slide, but the lazy loading is made with just testing if you already have the content attributes set on the class. Otherwise, it will load the content with easy API. This is actually really useful because if you need to reuse the contents method on the same easy wrapper object, you won't have to fetch the content every time, of course. Okay, we can't see anything. This is the build eZObjectWrapper method from the factory. Can you guys see it, or do you want me to show it with maybe PHP Storm? It would be more readable. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So with this method, you can either pass as an argument location ID, a location, or a content. Because depending on where you use it, sometimes you already have the location or the content, sometimes you just have the location ID. For example, in the easy controller with an that you have with the override method, you just have the location ID, so you can build directly a wrapper from the location ID. And then the content type identifier is fetched from your content info. And with this content type identifier, we can get the mapping entities parameters that I will show you afterwards. So basically, you just map a content type to eZObjectWrapper class. So it will try to find in the parameters. And if it doesn't find it, it will return a default class, because you can also, in your parameters, define a default class which will be used when you don't have a mapping for your content type. And then it will just return the corresponding object wrapper of the correct class. Right? Okay. Yeah, the render location. So I think most of you today use the render controller is the content view location method when you have to render a location, whether it is line or full or block or whatever. So with this bundle, you can just use the Twig function render location with location ID and the view time. So it's basically the same. You just use a Twig function instead of render controller. And this Twig function is just 2 lines of code. It's just calling the content view service view location method and returns the rendering from this service. It's basically doing exactly the same thing, but without reinstantiating the whole Symfony kernel, because you don't use render controller. The first time we had the issue, so with render controller, we had to list, I think, maybe 50 locations on the same page, and it took, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds to load the page. So when we tried this Twig function, it went down to 5 seconds. So it was really making a big, big difference. Okay. So I will show you how you can use the bundle, how you can map your content types, and so we have a few exercises. It's all based on eZdemo site. So first I will ask you guys if everyone has the, you can see this page, eZObjectWrapper.ezsc. Did anyone have trouble installing the workshop site? Or is it working for everyone? Otherwise, you can ask Gianni, my wingman, to help you. So, yeah, there is also something you can do which wasn't made at the beginning if you want to have a look at the back office. Because we will be talking a lot about content types and attribute identifiers. So just in the configuration, I didn't use map URI method, only map host. So you have to add this URL, admin URL, in your host file if you want to see it. Just do this and it will work. Admin Kaliop, sorry, yeah. Login and password. So be sure to check out the step 0 branch, which is for the first exercise. If you have any trouble while I show the exercise, please raise your hand. And if it's really too difficult for you, you can always check out the next step branch. So yeah, just do a git checkout, step 0. Zoom in. Yes, all right, git checkout, git ck, git checkout.
Maybe change the prompt.
The what?
The Linux prompt.
The what?
The prompt on the command line is too long.
Ah, oh. All right. So first, we'll work on the home page. So you'll see in PHP Storm you have already a home controller. So which is map in the override.yaml file. For the home content type, we use the full method of home controller and the full template. So quite simple controller. So we get the current location. We get the children location list with eZAPI. And then we just return an array with identifier and the content. Really simple so far. Okay, the thing is we want to display on this home page the title field, which should the title of each content. But as I said, so this is from the eZdemo site. On the homepage, you have blog posts, articles, events, many different content types. So in the children, when you fetch them, you get event and article which have for the title content an attributed identifier named title, but for other content it's name. So you have to do this in your Twig template. You have to test each content identifier, and depending on the identifier, render a different field. Here, title or name. So this is a very easy use case, but for our project, when we started, we had basically like 5 different identifiers for different content types. So we had really a large code in the template. So what we are going to do is create wrapper classes. So you should see an eZObjectWrapper folder, which are already created. And we are going to create these, a class, a wrapper class for article and event, which are the two classes which have a different attribute identifier. And we are going to create also the base wrapper class. So let's do this. We create a base wrapper. Okay, just going to copy it here. So we will need to use the eZObject. Oh yeah, Kaliop, sorry. Easy. Okay, doesn't want to complete. Never mind. So you use the eZObjectWrapper class, so your base wrapper can extend this class. Just, yeah, don't forget to add the namespace as well. And here, we will define a method which will return the title field. So for most of our content types, it will be the name. The identifier of the title field is name. All right. Now we need to create a wrapper class for article. So it's basically the same. We use eZObjectWrapper. And you create exactly the same method, title field. And as you can see in the back office, so this is event. For article, the title field is called title. So you will return the title. Okay. Once you have created these two classes, you need to configure the mapping for each content types to the correct wrapper class. So for this, we will use. So you can have an example in the wrapper bundle here. We'll actually copy this one. You see we define a default object class. This will be our base wrapper. And then you do a class mapping with content identifier and the path to your class. So let's do this. Here we will need to use base wrapper as default eZObject class. And the class mapping will be for article. It will be article wrapper. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to create one other wrapper class for event content types. So I'm just going to create it quickly. And we can just copy the title field method from article into event wrapper. Okay. So let's do the mapping for the event content type. And here it will be event wrapper class. Okay. So now basically we have created the basic configuration for our wrappers to be usable and to be usable by the eZObjectWrapperFactory. So when it will look in the eZObjectWrapper.yaml for class mapping, it will find for article and event content types that it has to use a specific wrapper class. So now we can go back to our home controller and we will replace, okay, we still need the children. I'm going to, yeah. Here, instead of loading the content for each location, I'm sorry, for each location, we will just use the factory service called the build eZObjectWrapper method and just pass the child location. Okay, basically that's all you have to do. You can use this method in every controller to pass a wrapper inside your templates instead of a location or a content, because the wrapper already contains the location and the content. Yeah. Yeah, you see, yeah, you can either pass the child location directly or the child location ID. It's really the same. It will automatically detect if you pass a child location or not. So we don't need all this anymore. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so in the template we now have access to the children array, which contains wrapper and not location anymore. So we can just reduce the code in this template to one line, which will be easy render field of, okay, we'll call the children a wrapper, and we will. So here you see I call the content method on my wrapper, so it will use lazy loading. Since it's the first time, it will load the content, fetch the content with the EZ API. But if I recall it afterwards, it will already be loaded. And here, instead of setting the field, I will just call my title field method that we just created. And basically, we don't need all this anymore. Okay, let's try it. Okay. So I think I forgot to extend my eZObjectWrapper class here. Yeah, and here. Of course, if you don't do this, and in my bed wrapper, it should be okay. Okay. So we have exactly the same thing as before, but we just didn't need to test the content type in our Twig template and just used the same method for every wrapper class to automatically get the right attribute identifier for the field. So this is a first use case, really simple one. We will make more complex in the next exercise. Is everyone following, or does everyone need help? Just tell me if I'm going too fast or if you don't understand. I'm going to show you what more you can do with the bundle in the few next minutes. Okay, I have to remember. Yeah. Okay. In our classes, we have a link class. I just modified it a bit. We have in this class, so basically you can use the link class to make a link either to an external website or to an internal location. So you need two fields. You need a URL field for the external website and internal location which is an object relation field if you want to make a link to a internal location. And the thing is, when you will want to list your link in a template, you don't want to test every time inside your template or inside your controller whether the location field is set or whether the internal location field is set, because you won't generate the URL the same way when it's one or the other. So we will do this with a wrapper, so with a link wrapper that we will map to the link content type. So let's create a new wrapper class in the eZObjectWrapper folder, link wrapper. Okay. So in this class, we are going to create, I think it's a get URL method or something like this. Where am I? Sorry. Okay. Yeah. We'll create this method, get URL. Just going to copy it, yeah. So here we will get first the location field value. We will test if it's empty or not. So if it's not empty, we just return directly the external URL, which is in the location field. And if it's empty, we will get the internal location field value, which should be content ID. So we'll load this content, and then we will call the, and we will then load the location, and we'll call the URL alias router service to generate the right URL to this location. Okay? So in any case, whether one field is set or the other, you will always return the right URL in this method. So don't forget to make the mapping to the link class in your eZObjectWrapper.yaml file. So you link it to the link wrapper class we just created. And here we will use it in yeah, okay. One other thing I can introduce here is also the fact that you can extend any of your wrapper, or maybe you should extend all of them, not from eZObjectWrapper class, but from your base wrapper class. So your base wrapper class can, in fact, implement a lot of methods that you will need for any content type, like maybe get URL, because you always need to load the URL of any location. Maybe the get title field as we did first. So here we can, for example, say that the default get URL method, for example, it will be used for article and events wrapper, because they don't have this method. And here we will just say that it returned the URL alias of the wrapper location. Okay, this is the default method. Then we are going to implement this in the folder controller that already exists. So here you can see that basically we don't fetch anything, so we are going to fetch the children of the folder. Oh, sorry. So we are going to do exactly the same as in the home controller. We will build wrappers with all the children location from the current folder. It's really the same code as in a home controller. And then in our folder full view, we will make a link. So here, I'm going to add, I think it's after a description, or it's instead, yeah. Okay, after the description, I'm going to add because for now, if you go to a folder, so let's try to find one. Yeah, shopping products, shopping services, or shopping services. You just have the title and the title and description. Yeah, just title of the folder. So here we want to display all the children from the folder with a link for each children. So we will use the getURL method from the wrapper that we just created, and basically just render the link to the child. I forgot to create one other method. So in the base wrapper, you can add open a new window, because in the link class you can choose whether you want to open the link in a new window or not. So we just need to add this in our wrapper. So for example, in the base we want to open this in the same window, and in our link wrapper we will return the content of the open new window field. Okay. Yeah. So we just return the value basically of the checkbox field. Okay. Okay, article wrapper doesn't exist. Get URL, because I didn't extend my base wrapper here. Just going to look in the event wrapper. Yeah, as well. So we just use class inheritance to do this. Really easy. Yeah. Okay, so now, for example, so I'm going to show you what's inside services folder. It's not the right folder. It's not here. Yeah. Actually, you should load the getting started resources folder. Sorry. I think I made a typo error somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Okay, I'm just going to empty the cache. Oh, come on. I don't know if you had the same problem. I really have problem with the cache within.
YAML file or definition.
Sorry?
Check your YAML file.
No, I just changed it, but it doesn't take it into account. Namespace is correct. Yeah, no, that's all right. Come on. Yeah, looks like it's working now. Okay. So we have two link content types here. Actually, you can't see anything with these colors, but anyway. We have one link to Easy Summer Camp website, which should be a content with the location, external location field set with external URL, and maybe we check, yeah, open a new window. So in fact, yeah, it does open a new window when I click on it. And the other one, this is an internal link to, I don't remember which article or internal location anyway. So the point here is to really define your rendering rules inside a PHP class, a specific PHP class, instead of doing all this in your template or in your controller. And as I said before, you can use it for rendering rules, for logical rules for your project. I mean, if you want to, let's tell you about a use case. We had one of our customers. He had on parent classes like a folder classes. It wasn't exactly a typical folder class. He had many fields to define whether he wanted to show the subtitles of the children, whether he wanted to show the image of the children. So basically it was just checkbox, and the customer wanted to be able to customize in the back office for every folder if we wanted to display the subtitle or the image or the description or the short description. He could also choose whether he wanted to show the short description or the long description in the content list. I know it's a crazy idea, but it just wanted that. So this was a bit of pain in the ass to do in a Twig template, and so we just did it in a wrapper actually. So we had children display parameters method, which just returned every checkbox content in an array and returned, okay, in this folder you don't display subtitles, but you display short description or whatever the option that were set in the back office. Okay. So this was an example with the links. Actually, I'm going to skip this one because it's really not very useful. I had added an article attribute here, which is, yeah, color. So basically it was a selection, and for example, you want, the customer wants to choose whether he wants to display his article title in orange, in yellow, in red, in green, in blue. Okay? So basically what you can do here is in your article wrapper, create a getColor method, and just return the correct CSS color class depending on the eZSelection attribute value. Okay, this is another example of defining a rendering rule, display rule inside your wrapper class instead of doing it inside the template. I don't have prepared many different exercises because you see we always do the same thing. We just create a method that we can call directly from the Twig template. And I mean, you can imagine any use case for this. It's just wrapping your content inside a class and defining any rules, any rendering rules or logical rules inside it. So you can imagine whatever you want for all your projects. Do you have any question about this, about what I just showed you? Did you have, I don't know, maybe the same problems during your projects, EZ5 projects already? Or do you find it, I mean, normal to do this in your Twig template or in your controller? It's basically a helper bundle, okay, to make your life easier with EZ5. It's not a bundle with a lot of code, as you can see. It's really simple logic, but trust me, it can be really, really useful. Yeah, the last example was render location. So I don't know if we already had. Okay, step 4. Yeah. Okay, in the last exercise. We have, I think, in eZDemoBundle, place location list somewhere. I think it's Easy Mountains. Yeah, place list content with places. So if you wanted to display all the children, as I said at the beginning, you would normally have to do a render controller for every child, sorry. And you would have maybe performance issues if you wanted to display, for example, all the places inside the place list content. And you have, I don't know, 50 places. It would take a lot of time to load the page. So imagine we had, a line view for every place. So we would define a place list rule in the override.yaml file. And so we basically always load the place list children inside the template. And then here instead of calling render controller, just calling for every child render location, the Twig function I showed you at the beginning. Okay, this is really basically the same thing. It's even the same Twig function that say GW did in their bundle. I mean, yeah, it's really the same. I think it's exactly the same function, right? Yeah. And you did it for the same purpose because you had performance issues. So I think we had the same idea at the same time. Yeah. You have any question about this? Any use cases you would see, or something you didn't understand, or whatever?
Yeah, I would imagine that the most frequent use case would be with this wrapper is to display the content attributes. I mean the fields themselves. So isn't there an initiative such as like what you did with event wrapper, public function title field return title, to have some form of getter, like a magic getter that would simply just check if that
attribute
name or
exists.
attribute exists already. So instead of having to declare all these methods, it would just simply check like content dot title, such as with talk to entities and such, and then it would just simply check if that field exists and return that instead of having to declare them all over again. Does it make sense? I mean, my question.
It completely makes sense. It's a very good idea, actually. I think this would be a great feature for this bundle. Yeah, we could do it. It totally makes sense, as there will be, I mean, for the full view, for example, you will need to display all, or mostly all your content attributes. So it would be a good idea to have a magic getter and at least a magic getter to display any attribute from your content. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
But yeah, you should consider the overhead that it may be causing. So it's just a handy function instead of easy field value, content field, whatever. So it would just be replaced by this shorthand method.
Yeah.
But then you should consider the overhead, what's causing having to wrap your content every time. But if somebody were to use this wrapper in any case, then it would just make sense to have a getter, and then with 20 attributes per object, it would just work. I mean, for the most cases, and then if one attribute has some special logic, then implement it in the method.
Yeah. For example, yeah. Be careful. You should always just return the attribute value. I mean, here I return the attribute identifier. In some case, we return the attribute value. For example, open link in new window, it just returns the attribute value. Do not try to return the attribute rendering result. Okay, let's always try to use easy render field in your template, because you will inherit from the different attribute types rendering method from eZopublish. So you need to keep this, I mean the easy render field. But of course you can, we could try to make a magic method. I mean, we are easy systems. Hello Bertrand. No, we just need to discuss if.
Have you actually considered this overhead? What its wrapping factory adds to the rendering logic? Have you did this already? Have you done this already?
I didn't understand.
Consider the performance overhead of this factory decoration stuff. That what you were doing.
Actually, yes. Well, the thing is, we only load the location and the content when we need it in the factory. I mean, in the factory we create the wrapper, but then it depends. If you call the content or location method, it will only load it when you need it. Whereas if you always load the location or always load the content in your controller as you would do usually. I mean, obviously it uses more performance to always load. So yeah, first with this. And I mean, the first example I showed you by testing the content type in your template. We don't need to do this anymore. So it's really a small performance gain, but it's always this, you know. And also the main consequence we saw when using this bundle is we don't define line view location rules in override.yaml anymore, or not as frequently as before, because we don't need it. We don't even use render location or a lot anymore because we don't need it. In my projects, at least that had in the last few months, the customer didn't want a different HTML rendering look and feel depending on the content type. I mean, if you have, I don't know, on your homepage, several blocks to display with lists of contents, I just want the list to be the same, maybe sometimes just the title and a link on the content, and it doesn't care if it's an event, an article, whatever, a folder. So we don't need line override rules for this, and this is a significant performance gain that you can have with wrappers actually, because you just encapsulate it, you just return the link and title, and you're done. And it's the same HTML code, so there's really no need to have an override line rule.
And can you clarify that once again, when you return the actual name of the attribute and when you return the actual value of the field? So how do you distinguish? Like, let's say title field returns a string name, which is probably stands for the name of the attribute, but get URL stands for an actual value that is returned.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you want to do with it. I mean,
if you just simply return a string, how does it know that you actually want to return the field value which corresponds to that string, as opposed to get URL, which returns with some arbitrary value, or false or true? Do you understand the question?
No, sorry.
So we are on base wrapper class, and it has 3 functions. I don't know, step 1, step 2, whatever.
Yeah.
Title field returns string name, which should correspond to the content attribute attribute's value, which is called name. But if you say get URL, why doesn't it return?
The method is called title field because we don't want to return the title value.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We want to use eZRender field in the template to return the attribute value and to display the attribute value using the line text rendering template from eZPublish.
And it is distinguished because it has the field suffix. Suffix. That's why it's. That's why it does this.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Actually, we could have called the get URL value, for example. Yeah. As I said, you never try to render HTML from wrappers. Okay, just values or attribute identifiers or logical. I mean, in some wrappers we even made a children method. Okay, on a folder wrapper, we created a children method that just implements all the logic from getting the children of folder. You filter on the content types you want, on the sorting method you want, and on other parent content type class wrapper. We also have a children method, but with completely different sort method and filter methods. So you can use it for this as well. And you could just in your folder controller load the folder wrapper and call directly the children method. And so you don't have to fetch the children in the controller. That's arguable, but you could do it. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. If you want to discuss about it, just I'll be here. Thanks.